Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce you to today's guest, Sherinata Pollock. Sherinata is a dynamic speaker, author of 2 books, intuitive transformational coach, energy healer, and teacher. She's best known for helping busy moms and their families go from stress to success through their highly sought-after products, transformational meditations, and programs that use subconscious reprogramming and behavior modifications to eliminate negative patterns in their lives. Sherinata's passion is to revolutionize the way we raise our children so they can live healthier, happier, and more prosperous lives for generations to come. Welcome, Sherinata.
Hi, Tammy. How are you today? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm really great. The reason why I'm really excited about interviewing Sherinata, everyone, is because when I met Sherinata, she opened my eyes to something that, to tell you the truth, I didn't even know existed. And it's all about EMFs. And I'm going to let Sherinata explain to you what EMFs are. And I'll give you a hint. It's electromagnetic frequencies. And it is something that I never dreamed of would even affect me, because think about it. I use my computer all the time. I use my cell phone. I'm connected to Wi-Fi. Sherinata, tell me more about EMFs and why you're so concerned.
Okay, well, thanks, Tammy. So EMFs it's actually known as radiation. And radiation is what affects us on, so many levels because of our technology today. And it's just not our technology. It's just, the electrical currents that are coming out of electronic devices, whether they're plugged in or on remote, so like or handheld devices that are wireless. So, we've gone from a 3G network to a 4G network into a 5G network. And so let me just back up. And I know that we jumped into it right away with EMFs and radiation, but, we are being inundated as energy pollution by radiation every single day. And we're raising our children with this. And it's, I'm very passionate about speaking about it because of what happened in my personal life. And 17 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with the most aggressive brain tumor that you can possibly ever be diagnosed with. And in 3 months, he passed away, leaving me with my 1-year-old son. Well, that, is common. It happens all the time. But the thing is what happened to him was that he was an electrician. So he was surrounded by EMFs, because he worked with electrical currents that were everywhere. And back in the 80s, they actually did a study that, that actually tested out that the electricians had one of the highest rates of glioblastomas, which are brain tumors, of all occupations. And, and when you think about it, children are being diagnosed with glioblastomas and brain tumors constantly because of, they have a very thin brain barrier. And, it's like, so I think to myself, what can we do? I don't want my children to grow up to receiving brain tumors. And if we look very closely at the directions on our handheld devices, they say don't hold within 2 inches of your body, 2 to 3 inches from your body. And they don't really know, because we're walking around as guinea pigs, what's really happening to our environment. So there are studies that show all over the place that radiation, is apparent in our electronic devices and in our environment. So that's kind of how it began, is that, things just fall into place. And here I am. I found out about something called shungite. And shungite is a mineral that I didn't create. It's a mineral that's on the planet. And it actually has an electromagnetic barrier, it has its own frequency vibration that helps to create a protective shield around wherever it's at that's electrical. I know it sounds really crazy, but it's, there's a lot of proof behind this. And with that being said, I now have protection stickers that I sell, decals that go on your phone and onto your devices, your Wi-Fi router, your computer, your devices, everything, your tablets, even for babies with baby monitors, because we're getting this energy pollution into our bodies every day. So we need to protect ourselves from this. And it's really amazing because I have thermographic images that show me regular without being on a phone. Then I have a thermographic image 2 minutes on my cell phone without protection. And it's like, Tammy, you've seen it. It's like, what? My whole face is like 80% red.
Right. And that's something that if you can visualize, imagine seeing a photograph of someone and normal. So, it might show some yellow and greens and, some dark shadows, and that's normal. But in this image of Sherinata, after 2 minutes on a cell phone, her neck is bright red. Her hand is bright red. Her face is bright red. And then the third image, which really made me really say, oh my God, is that after the shungite decal was placed on the phone and she talked on the phone for 2 minutes with that, you can see the marked difference is there's hardly any red left. And to me, that was obviously photographic evidence that the shungite decal was actually doing something and protecting you. And it's funny that you said that, because I really did not know that that on a phone that you are not supposed to hold it at least 2 inches away from you. And think about all the people, women expect, think about women put their cell phones in their bra, right next to their heart or their breast.
And when they're doing that, half the time it's young moms who have their babies right next to that cell phone on their breast because they want to be hands-free to hold their babies. So not only is it affecting your breast, it's also affecting the baby energy field.
And then men, what do? They run around with their cell phones in their pockets. And where are their pockets? It's, right near their, private reproductive areas. And, think about that. And we just wonder, for example, people do seem to be sicker and there seems to be more cancer. And I always wonder about that because, it's like, oh, maybe it's just because of social media and we're more exposed to people talking about these things. But it is really true that, cell phones, we didn't have cell phones, not like, almost every person on the planet now seems to have a cell phone. Along with little kids, people give their children their cell phones to play with, or they buy them tablets to play with. I mean, I've seen little 1-2-year-olds in restaurants with the cell phone playing, because they're trying to keep the child quiet. And it's just amazing. So we have more than 7 billion people in the world, and half of those people own a cell phone. So like more than 50% of the people in the world are exposed more than ever to this. I know that you talked about shungite. Is there any other things that you can do to help protect your family? Let's say, of course, you can get the decals, but what else can you do to help protect your family?
Yeah, the EMF decals, let me just go back and say something about that, because I want to talk about both for sure. What we can do to just be careful and to be safer without a protector around us. But also I want people to understand that, like a laptop, they call it a laptop. To put on your lap is detrimental to your energy field. And it's detrimental. Think about where your laptop is sitting It is your entire reproductive area, men and women and children. There are studies that show that the DNA is actually, it's compromised, and there's actual DNA changes in the mitochondria of our body from EMF and radiation, from the cell phones and the wireless devices that we're using. So I want people to really think about that there's energy pollution that's draining your body and how it affects what's going on in you. We get headaches often. We're drained by the afternoon, just no different than stress, that we have stress in our body, no different than eating the wrong foods in our body. The energy pollution is also dragging us down and causing the cancers and diseases. And to raise our children and also our pets and our food in a Wi-Fi environment, wherever we go being unprotected, is no different than sending your children out or yourself in a car without a seatbelt. It's no different than, sending your children off to college or not educating them about sex education, yeah. And to always be protected. It's the same thing, because now we have to think of a different type of protection. And this is, there's so much research that's being done on EMFs and radiation and how it's affecting our bodies. So, especially when I think about, we didn't even have the 3G to 4G to 5G. We were using beepers back in the 80s when they did this study. And so it's just even the electrical current. So that just blows my mind, about electricians having this, these brain tumors. So I really want people to think about, it's your devices that you need to shield yourself from, but also shielding yourself in a Wi-Fi environment. No matter where we go, there's Wi-Fi that's inundating and sucking the energy out of us. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense, because even when I was preparing for this show, and this is a really good example, because we're using Skype to record the show, and I know that if I have my fans on, the electric fans on, it creates this massive hum in the show. So I have to turn off all of my electronic devices around my computer. So think about that. Just the normal things that we have in our house are emitting all of this electrical energy and everything. So it does make perfect sense to try to protect yourself. And when you said that there was this natural mineral, the shungite, that was able to, help alleviate some of this electronic radiation, that was like, wow, because you think about it, nature, the earth does have normally all the things we need to protect ourselves. We just have to figure it out and find it. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And then the decals, what makes the decals very nice is they're very small, and they fit on your electronic device. And everyone I know who's had them, they all report back having some significant things, like maybe that they feel better. Or one person, they said they put some of these on their refrigerator, and that their fruits and vegetables seem to stay fresher longer. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because it's allowing things to work more efficiently. So it's allowing because it's the fullerene. And for those of you that want to know a little more detail, Buckminster Fuller, the buckyball, the fullerene, and that fullerene is contained in the shungite. The shungite is part of the coal family. Charcoal is charcoal works as a filter in water, but the fullerene, and it always needs to be cleansed and changed out, but the fullerene it's constantly creating the harmonic perfection within things. So it's always creating things to work easier. It's the clockwise rotation. It's like, as we're working forward to, like our earth cycles in a rotation, our body cycle. If we're working at our optimum, we're working in a positive reaction, correct? In a positive cycle. So what's happening is that the cycle's reversing and slowing down when we're using the electronic frequencies. The EMFs, the electrical currents are slowing it down and dragging down the energy fields. So that's why people who are using the shungite stickers, in fact, I'm going to get a larger one for the smart meter, but for right now, I tell people to put 2 of them on your smart meter, put 2 of them on your refrigerator, and you're going to notice that the electrical bill will most likely go down at least about 20% because it's working more efficiently and not dragging down the nutrients in your food. And it's amazing. It's amazing how it works. So yeah, the things that you can do to protect without being in a shungite environment or without having the stickers would be to, limit, use a landline, and use something with a cord if that's a possibility. But a lot of people who are concerned are actually starting to hardwire everything back. They're beginning to hardwire their computers. They're beginning to get hardwired phones again because there are massive concerns about, being in that radiation. Children in school and a Wi-Fi, when my daughter is not, wearing the pendant or a bracelet that has the shungite on it, she has a headache by the end of the day. She is extremely exhausted because of the Wi-Fi that's in the school. So that's affecting the children because they're on tablets, they're in Wi-Fi, they're completely inundated, and their energy fields are, more susceptible because they have a stronger energy field in that sense. I would say stronger because we're so used to being in a stressful environment. Children are not used to being stressed. So they're affected by this so much more because they're much more energy sensitive. And people who are energy sensitive, they're going to feel the stress of the EMFs. They don't even know it. And until they can, become protected, they're going to feel the massive changes. So, they're saying text as often as possible, use a speaker phone. If you're using a Bluetooth, bad idea. And that's the other thing that come out with is a very small sticker decal that can go on a Bluetooth. As the new iPhones don't even have a wire to hardwire your earplug into it. So, making sure that you have like I always use a headset, but now without the jack and the new iPhones, this is going to be a massive severity of problems going on. I would never buy it in my entire life, having an iPhone that forces me to use a Bluetooth or use the phone without a head jack. That wouldn't even exist. I wouldn't even let my kids get it. No way, not in a million years. So, people who are using the Apple Watches or the Fitbits, there's another thing constantly in your energy field all day, all night. You're wearing these things, and what is it doing? It's creating a different electrical current in your body, dragging you down, and it causes your entire magnetic imprint, your energy imprint to be completely imbalanced because you're receiving this receptor all the time that's going off in your body. So, personally, I would never use those. There's other things to use. If you really want to watch your health, go out and exercise and use a pedometer, What else? There's, if you're going to put your cell phone in your bedroom, don't put it near your head. Keeping it plugged in right there, keeping it working. If you have to do it, you can put it on the airplane mode, but don't keep it in your children's room. Don't make it the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning is have to go to the cell phone. So, there's so much that's going on, that there's so much around us that you can take minimal steps, but you still want to be in a protected force shield around you. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense. And I feel fortunate that I grew up, I guess, in the half and half world where we didn't have all of these electronic devices until much later. But then I'm also worried because I think about my children and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren to come. And I think about, oh my God, they've always lived in a world where there was Wi-Fi and cell phones and electronic devices.
Mm-hmm.
and you whatever Bluetooth and everything. It's kind of scary, but and some of the other things you talked about, like I was thinking about trying to live in the middle of nowhere it's not as easy as it sounds unless you do go out to Montana or someplace where they don't have tons of overhead wires and cell phones and Wi-Fi towers. I know where I live in Southwest Florida, there are cell phone towers like every couple miles.
Yeah, you're lucky if you find a dead spot.
I mean, so we live in a time where we have to, number one, become aware that there is this EMF pollution or radiation pollution. We have to become aware of it, and then what are the answers? And you actually have found one of the answers with the shungite and with the decals that you've had made. So tell me a little bit more. You mentioned that your daughter wears a pendant or special bracelets. Can you tell me more about those?
Sure. So the purpose of wearing, the pendants or the bracelets or even using a keychain, and I'm going to come out for some things for little children as well. The keychains may be helpful because they can put that on their backpacks. And for the most part, it's very close to their bodies for children. It's great for men because they can put it in their pocket. So having a keychain, here's something that happened that I noticed was that my son, when he was 16, children are, the teens are stressed out anyway. They got their hormones running. They're crazy,
Yeah.
and we're like, we need anything to calm them down at some point. And, even though it's stress, I work with stress management, but, your children are, they're going to get stressed no matter what because they're teens and they have a lot going on in their lives between, friends and family and school and everything. So their studies in college. So here he is. He's a high achiever. He's stressed out. His grades. He's got so much work to do. He's got friend stuff going on. Blah blah blah. And I'm thinking this kid is like, he needs something. So when shungite came into my life and I started learning about it, which is another story I can share with you, is I gave him. I said, you know what? Here, just like with the decal, I put the decal on his phone, put it on his laptop. I'm like, you know what? Don't ask. I'm just doing it. Here you go. Your mom might be crazy. You might think so because at 16, they always think you're weird and crazy, no matter who you are as an adult. And so I'm just like, look, I'm your mom. I love you. Just put this on your phone and your, laptop. So he's like fine with it. And I said, in here, I'm going to put this on your keychain too. And just keep this on here because I know it's going to protect you, right? I am not kidding you. Within 2 to 3 days, I noticed a massive difference in his personality. He was unwinding and he wasn't as stressed out as he normally was. We were actually talking and having normal conversations. And I said, wow, this is really incredible because it creates so much stress on your body, like those images, all that red, through the thermographic images, it's stressing your body out. So when I saw that, and just like the same thing with my daughter being in school and wearing it, that by the end of the day, she doesn't have a headache. She's not as fatigued as she normally would be. When I first found out about shungite and, the devices and putting it in my room, my office. I have a very small office. I work with people. I work on healings. I, do energy work, and I am energy sensitive. So I didn't realize my office is kind of small. And in my office, I have a lot of electrical. I have my wireless printer. I have a landline for my office line. I have my laptop. I have my another second monitor. I have the Wi-Fi router in my office. And then I had my cell phone or my tablet next to me. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm an energy healer and I am surrounded by, all this detox, this toxic pollution, energy. Well, by the afternoon, just like my daughter, I literally I got to the point where I couldn't even walk in my office and be in there for like 4 or 5 hours. I had such a headache, drained. I felt like there was something wrong with me. And I didn't understand what it was. And then I found out about the shung. I didn't want to stay in my office. I would have to start working out in the kitchen. So not putting two and two together. And then I realized what it was. And so I ended up getting the shungite, and because somebody told me about it. So I started putting all around everything, put the protection devices on my, the stickers on my devices. I started wearing it. So complete shungite environment, right? Mm-hmm. Then for 3 days, I was so toxic with EMFs that I literally got sick. It was like, I felt like it was like, I didn't know what was happening. It was just really, I guess it was like oozing and getting the EMFs out of me, because I had like this horrible headache that I had for like a couple of days, which I normally never get headaches for anything. Headaches are never my issue for, health. And until this EMF started coming into my, home. And I just wasn't feeling well at all. I felt like I was almost feverish, but my whole body was detoxing, because by the fourth day, I was fine, completely fine and clearer. Like I had this clarity to me that came out of nowhere, because I had so much brain fog going on. And, think about it. Radiation. What does it do? I mean, you want to be covered up from radiation. It's going to affect your endocrine system. It's going to, affect your cells, your organs, your breathing. It's going to affect everything within your body. So, some people may be more resistant to it than others, but why are you going to take a chance? I know somebody who wore it, like somebody who sold it to, and she said, I can't believe how much more peaceful I feel, and so much clearer. That's usually the comment that people have. The same thing with my son. He's like, he was less stressed, so he was more peaceful. So because it's releasing that, it's creating that force field, it's allowing that energy to rotate within our bodies in a positive, harmonic way, rather than creating disharmony. Makes sense? And it's based on that molecule, the fullerene.
Yeah, everything that you're saying makes sense, because if you look at the human body, we are energetic beings, and we are electrical. I mean, if we are dying and our heart stops, what do? They shock us and make it so that our heart starts beating again. So it makes perfect sense. And on your website, you do have a lot of educational information about shungite, and about you also have the pendants, the bracelets, and of course the shungite decals for all of the electronic devices available there. And so tell me, where can people go to find out more information about you and your products? And by the way, Sherinata, and everyone, I will have Sherinata back to talk about the other side of her life, about her energy healing, because believe me, I have met a lot of energy healers and people who do energy work, and Sherinata is by far the number one person I've ever met in my life, and I've met many. So she is just amazing. And like I said, when she talked about the shungite and she talked about her husband, it really resonated with me, because my son is an electrician's helper. So of course I immediately was like, oh my goodness, I need to really listen, because again, like I said, I did not even have an idea about radiation or this electromagnetic frequency radiation. It just wasn't on my radar to be worried about, Wi-Fi and all those things. But it really opened my eyes when Sherinata explained, about it. And it makes perfect sense, because think about it. What do we have in our homes? Electronic devices all over. Like I look down and I have a router on one side of me, my laptop's in front of me, my cell phone's on the side of me, and I'm like, I am literally surrounded by electronic devices all the time. And it is something, and I'm sure each and every one of you, if you just stop and think, you probably look at your hand, or you'll look at your computer or your tablet, and you probably have in your house 5 to 10 or more, depending on how many people live in your house, electronic devices, not to mention refrigerators, microwaves, and other things that are just part of our daily lives. You know, we all have refrigerators. Many of us have microwaves, and I don't think that we stop to think about the health risks that we have. And like Sherinata said, the shungite products, it's a natural mineral, that has been tested over and over again and been proven to have these healing energies and even water purification energies. So definitely, Sherinata, where can people go find out more about you and your products?
They can go to my, which is my name actually, Sherinata.com, SHERIN as in Nancy, AT as in Tom, A. And everything is on the website. You can go into the shop page and it says EMF, I think blockers or EMF protection. And you can find out more information on that page. I'll be creating some more blogs and more videos, so definitely to check those out. I don't have that much up there right now because this is a newer product. But I am just, so passionate about it because I just know that there's so much research done on shungite. There's so much research that's about radiation. And, all through Europe, they actually have shungite spas to detox the body of EMFs. And you have to be very careful because, you want to make sure you know your source of where you're getting the EMFs from. The source of where you're getting your shungite, because there's certain ones that do not have, that have the amount of fullerene to create a protection field. There's sometimes they'll sell you something else that is not true shungite because it's a black stone. So you do have to know your source, where you're getting it from, to make sure it's a trusted source. So I do know my sources, and I test it. I make sure true shungite actually, if you put it up to a flashlight, the actual stone, and you saw this, Tammy.
Yes, I did.
This freaked you out. You're like, whoa. Yeah. So if you take a little flashlight that has you take off the top, keep the batteries in it, take the top off that has the copper. You put the stone onto the battery, onto the little metal part. The stone the mineral of the shungite will actually allow the flashlight to light up without the copper in the button attaching to it. So this is why we say it's an amplifier, like, copper amplifies the field. This amplifies the field, and it actually has its own electrical current coming through it. It's just a harmonic current. That's the difference. And there is a book called, that Regina Martino wrote. She's a French gemologist believe she works with, I know that, like, with chemicals, some type of scientist, I don't exactly remember, but she has a lot of experience, and, this is what she does. And so she wrote an entire book about shungite, and it has been rewritten in English, and it has study after study that she's done in research on how powerful it is. But yeah, so you can go to my website. I have a lot of information on it, and soon to have some more videos and, the products. I also have the whole energy line of the bracelets to the other bracelets that have the shungite in it for the chakra bracelets. So yeah, so it's really exciting. I'm really grateful to be out there. I'm really grateful to be on the show to get the message out even more. And the most amazing part is that, there is so much out there that, a lot of people know about the protection. There's like a big movement because people are questioning it. They're really understanding it. There's a lot of people understanding energy now and how it affects their bodies. So there's a lot of things out there but they're expensive. Some of the, like for one device, it's like $60 or $50, sometimes even $30, the lowest you can find, as up to high as $150 for, keeping your device safe. The decals that I have are 2 for $15. So, I mean, you get two in a packet for $15. It's a no-brainer. And I'm going to keep the prices low. So that way we can saturate the entire market, keep people safe, you slap it on everything you have. And you're going to be safe. You get a bracelet, you get a necklace, and you're good to go. And you know that you're going to be, safe for yourself, your children, your loved ones, your parents. I see senior citizens who are frail with their cell phones, 90 years old, 80 years old, 85, and they have these, cell phones up to their heads. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's driving me crazy. It's like, here, take a sticker. Here, take a decal. Here, protect yourself.
Well, I'm so glad that you did tell me about that 2 or 3 inch thing, because I am notorious for holding my cell phone so close to my face that I accidentally mute myself. That's how hard I press that phone up. And when I heard that, I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm really thankful I'm not a big cell phone user, most of the time, unless I'm traveling. But I do realize, think about that. I mean, I press that so hard to my face that I mute myself all the time. Well, Sherinata, I know that I've learned a lot today, and I really love it when I'm able to have a guest who's so knowledgeable and who can bring such a diverse piece of information that can help so many people, because almost everybody has a cell phone. Even third world countries, they might not have
they actually say they
water, but they have a cell phone.
I don't have the actual statistics, but the statistics show that we have that around the world we have more cell phones in use around the entire world than toothbrushes.
I can believe that.
Isn't that crazy? And here's like just one statistic that I wanted to share with you real quick. I got this from the Truth About Cancer website, but through a study, it was like one of the biggest studies of all. It was like $25 million put in this study. And they said that with regular use of a cell phone by adults, not children. Now, children, mind you, the blood barrier is, it's a much thinner barrier, so they're more susceptible. But for adults only, regular cell phone use can significantly increase the risk of glioblastoma tumors by 40% within 1,640 hours of use, which means 30 minutes a day over 10 years. 40%. Yeah.
Wow.
That
is just, it's an awful statistic to know. And the reality is just like you said, iPhones came out with devices now where you're forced to use Bluetooth instead of the headset and different things. So we really need to be aware of this. So I'm really glad that you came on today and shared all this information. So everyone, go to Sherinata.com, and if you can't remember how to spell it, just type in Sherinata or look at my show notes and you'll be able to go directly to the site. And there's a lot of information about shungite. The shungite decals are there, along with the different protective pendants, keychains, bracelets, and other really cool products. And again, Sherinata, I will invite you back another time. So everyone, thank you, Sherinata.
Thank you so much. Thanks again. And I look forward to coming back again. Thank you, Tammy.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a healthy and beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.